Welcome to the channel. I am on the trail up to Billings Lake. This area is just west of Salida and south of Buena Vista. My first time coming to the area. It is beautiful, just like all the mountain ranges in this area. It is a cold morning, a perfect morning for a fire, but unfortunately there's fire restrictions, even though it has been raining on and off the entire time I have been up here. I'll show you around my campsite here, but the plan for this trip over the Labor Day weekend is to go all the way up to Billings Lake. I'll show you what that trail is like. I am just outside the campground area for the North Fork Reservoir, so we're going to go down there, check out the reservoir, maybe try some paddle boarding, and it should be a good trip. So there's a lot of great camping options if you're interested in coming up here. The trail is a little over 11 miles long and is rated as moderate, so there is no obstacles. It's just kind of a rough, rocky road. A stock SUV can do it. You just need minimal clearance. We picked this campsite because we have the Opus OP4 camper, and there are a lot of dispersed campsites along the trail, but not a lot of them are really good for a camper. This campsite has one spot that's nice and flat. We're able to set up the camper. It has a loop, so we're going to be able to hook it back up and kind of just pull it around back down here. You can fit a lot of vehicles up here, 4 or 5 easily, and there is multiple campsites. A nice big fire pit that I wish we could use. Right here we got a fire pit. Gonna continue walking down here. Got another spot here, nice and flat with the fire pit. And if you continue down here, there's a few small little ponds. I don't know what type of birds these are, but they've been troublemakers ever since we pulled up in the camp, trying to get at the dog's food. If there's anything that falls on the ground, trying to get it. It's just generally been troublemakers. I think they may have flown off to a different camp. One thing about this site that is a positive or negative, depending on how you look at it, is they're on the shady side and there are a lot of trees. So all the trees here are nice for some additional shade, I guess, if it was hot. But on a cold morning like this, it keeps it extra cold. And this area is beautiful. I've already kind of drove up to Billings Lake to kind of scout the area out. So you're definitely going to want to see it. This whole area is cool, especially the reservoir. It is beautiful. The people at the campsite just across the road from ours just left, so I figured this is a good chance to show it to you guys before someone else gets in there. You can see how big it is. You can fit a huge group at this site if you needed to. And based on the map, I think it might have been maybe an old access road down to the reservoir, because if you look over here, there's some boulders there. Looks like that maybe that might have been some parking or something in the past. And down at the end of the campsite, there's a road that's looked like it's starting to get overgrown, and it says no motorized vehicles past this point. So we'll go check it out here. There's a little trail down here, and I can see some more campsites down there. We'll check that out. Yeah, this area is flat. You can definitely put a couple of tents down here. Look like there's a fire pit over here. We're very close to the reservoir right now. I think you can see some campsites that are kind of at the edge of the water. It's kind of damp down here. Imagine if it rains, it can get really soggy. That would be the downside. I'm kind of curious to see where that road goes. We'll check that out real quick. This takes you right down to the reservoir. That's pretty awesome. This area is beautiful. A great place to have some lunch and maybe try out some paddle boarding. The campground has several campsites that have picnic tables. I don't see a really good spot for a tent on a lot of the sites though. The views are incredible. Looks like there's a bathroom up at the top there. I found one negative about this campsite. That bathroom, there's no handle on the inside, so you can't really pull it shut. So you better just hope no one comes along. I've never seen that before. That really makes using that bathroom, unless you have someone keeping guard, difficult. The weather was perfect, so we got out the paddle boards, but not everyone was on board with the idea. I think he learned his lesson. Paddleboarding around the reservoir was a lot of fun, but the water is extremely cold, so you definitely don't want to fall in. I got up early and I was gonna take Luna out for a nice little hike, shoot some video, and I saw a moose in the campsite right across from ours, and of course I didn't have everything ready to go, and then I think I heard me and Luna take off, so it's probably long gone. Yeah, it took off somewhere right down here, heading towards the reservoir and the campsite. So maybe some people down at the campsite have woken up to a surprise down there. Oh man, I'm so bummed that I missed it. It looked like it was a cow. Is that what they call a female moose? A cow? And I couldn't really get an idea how tall it was, but it looked like it was a pretty good size. Oh well, I guess I'll continue with this hike, and maybe we might see it, or maybe another one. Luna, come on. I enjoy hiking quite a bit. If you follow this channel, you may have seen some of my videos where I'm trying to summit all 58 peaks in Colorado over 14,000 feet, aka 14ers. And one of the biggest things I've been on the lookout for is a good pair of hiking boots and shoes. I've been testing a lot of different ones out, and my main issue is that my right foot is actually wider than my left foot, and it causes a lot of pain. I went to a running store and they had this machine where they get an imprint of your foot, and I was surprised about how much wider it was, and that was basically one of the major causes of my foot pain, is that the right shoe was just too narrow, even though the left was good. And you know, spending a lot of hours on your feet running, hiking, it makes them swell, so that was making the problem even worse. So basically I've been trying out wider shoebox shoes to see how that feels, and so far so good. Matter of fact, a company called Fitville sent me a wide pair of hiking shoes to try, and I've been wearing them all this trip around here, and I've been really happy with them. Here's a closer look at the shoe. This is the Cross Creek from Fitville. It comes in a wide 2E or an extra wide 4E. It is water resistant but still breathable, has a nice durable sole, a ton of grip, and a lot of cushion in the insole, which I love. And overall, I've been really happy with this shoe. So if you have wide feet and you've been having a hard time finding something that's comfortable, especially if you're out there doing long hikes, this is a great option. If you use my affiliate link down in the description, along with this discount code, you'll get 28% off of these shoes. From the reservoir all the way up to the Pride of the West Tunnel and Billings Lake, the trail is narrow, and you can definitely get some pinstriping going to both locations. The views really open up once you get above the tree line. The view from the Pride of the West Tunnel looking back down the gulch is worth the drive up. We made it to the end of the trail, where I think you have to start walking to get to the Pride of the West Tunnel. I see a path here. I'm not totally sure if that's the way to get up there or not. Oh, I can see the tunnel from here. It's not a far hike at all. The view is incredible. You can see Billings Lake right down there. There's some people down there fishing. Okay, here it is. It's all blocked off. It'd be cool to be able to go back in there. 1880. Whoa. This is the Pride of the West tunnel. I don't know much about it. I might have to Google it when I get back home and maybe talk a little bit about it on the way up here. I wouldn't come up here only for this, but if you're up in the area, it's a nice thing to take a look at. After checking out the Pride of the West tunnel, we went down to Billings Lake. This is the best campsite in the entire area. You got a view of Billings Lake and the mountains all around you. I wish we could have gotten in here, but there was, there was a lot of people. I can't believe how many people that fit in this thing. It had a huge tent, maybe like 3 or 4 cars. I'll show you it real quick. So if you can get this spot, you are lucky. They got a nice big flat area, a couple of fire pits. Looks like you can even pull back around into here. I'll put the GPS coordinates for the site right here. Made it down to Billings Lake. It's quite a bit smaller than the North Fork Reservoir and definitely not as meant for, recreational. I wouldn't know if I could go paddleboarding in there, but apparently it's good fishing. I had a guy come down yesterday and said that they got some pretty good sized fish here the other day, and you can see there's people out there fishing right now. So if you're in the fishing, it seems like this is a great area to come to between this area and the reservoir. Looks like some people are even camping here. You're pretty exposed out here, so I don't know if I would do it, but another option, I guess. I definitely recommend this area. We've been in better campsites, but this view here, having the reservoir for recreation and fishing, I definitely would come back up here. There's too many other places to go and see, so I don't know if I'd be back here anytime soon, but it's definitely worth the trip up here. And yesterday we packed everything up, connect the camper there to the Jeep, and the Jeep will not start. All the interior electronics come on, like the accessories, the gauge, and it makes all the sounds and everything, but when you press the start button, nothing happens. So the Gladiator has been acting kind of funny for the last month or so, doing weird things like just randomly shutting off or giving weird messages. So I was doing a ton of research, and it appears maybe it's like an electrical issue. So I went through the best I could to check all the wiring to see if anything was loose and any wiring was, damaged. Any indication of there being any kind of issue. I went through, checked all the fuses, made sure they were in there nice and tight, and I even went as far as disconnecting all the accessories that I had connected to the battery. And then I've been driving it for about a week and a half, and the Gladiator was driving great, no problems at all. So I felt comfortable for us to come out here and do this trip. And then I guess it's not the worst moment. I guess there's worse places it could have died, but not a particular great one. Is right here at this campsite. So we were deciding what the best thing to do is. So we decided, well, even though I disconnected the battery and had it sit for a while and tried again, nothing happened. We'll figure we'll have it disconnected, the battery disconnected all night. See if that makes any difference. So that was what I'm going to try to do here. So you can see here, I'm going to reconnect the battery and give it a shot here. I know it's not an issue with the battery because the battery is in good shape, and I even tried jumping it with the jump box just as a just to give it a try, and did exact same thing. So I don't believe it's an issue with the battery at all. But now I'm kind of worried that I might drain the battery by several attempts to try to start it. I know that can drain the battery also, so we'll see how things go, if it is going to start. Nothing. Okay, that was disappointing. I was hoping that maybe it would do something, but nothing at all. There is no cell signal out here, but you can send text messages via satellite with my iPhone. So we messaged some family, and they're going to come out with their truck this morning. And I think the plan is to connect the camper to their truck, and then we'll go back down to civilization, where we have can get internet, and we'll see about what we can do as far as getting a tow or some kind of recovery up here, and what's all involved with that, and then get the camper back home, because we rented on Outdoorsy, and someone is supposed to be picking it up tomorrow, and I feel bad because we've been out here with no kind of signal longer than we're expecting it, so we haven't been able to message him as far as like, you know, hey, what time are you going to pick it up and all that kind of stuff. So get back to civilization, figure out what the next step is as far as options, as far as getting a recovery up here, then get the camper back home to get it ready for that person, and then see how things go. I know we have, you know, roadside service through our insurance. I don't know if that covers, Forest Service roads or not. So I figured I'll call them. Then I figured maybe just be able to Google it. Maybe there's just a tow service around here that does off-road recoveries, because this area has a ton of off-road trails, is very popular. So I would be shocked if there wasn't there wasn't a tow service that offered off-road recovery. So we'll see that if that's an option. I also know it's been a few years since I looked it up, so I don't know if it's still in existence. I know there was, I think it was a nonprofit called Colorado Rescue and Recovery. I think it's a group of volunteers that will, get vehicles that are stuck. So once I get down to get some internet, I'll maybe look at that too as an option. But it just really stinks that this has happened. So I don't know how much. I've always wondered what happens if you get stranded up in the mountains. So I guess I am about to find out. Well, the cavalry has arrived, so we're going to try to jump it, and we talked about maybe just towing the Jeep down the mountain, but I'm concerned about being able to steer it and having brakes. So I'm thinking about that, because being able to actually just steer it down the mountain and get to like the road, or just go ahead and get a typical tow truck would be great. Okay, got them connected. I am doubtful, but you gotta try. Nothing. Okay, jump starting, it didn't work. We're seeing if we can tow it down. I don't know without full power if I could turn the steering wheel, if the brakes will work. So we're gonna do a little test drive here and see what happens. Well, we got out of the campsite, and we're just going to go very, very, very slow and test it out and see how it goes. Once we got moving, I was able to turn the steering wheel, but I definitely had to give it some muscle. The brakes worked also, but I really had to put some pressure on them. This was the first and hopefully last time I had to be towed off of the trail, but at least I finally got to use all my recovery gear that I paid for. I started with the standard tow rope, but then I decided to switch to the kinetic rope, and that was a lot smoother. Shortly after making the switch, a miracle happened.
I tell you what, this Jeep is like a mystery to me. So we're probably, I don't know, a slow mile towing this thing down this mountain. We're having a hard time trying to figure out how to keep it in neutral. We're having to hold up on that string because it just doesn't want to do anything. And then I saw this thing where someone had removed the leather, and that's what it was. I was trying to remove this outer part and I couldn't get it. And I was like, what was I was seeing? It removed that, and then there was a switch here, move it into gears, and it turned on. So we're going to at least drive down to the end of the trail, then we'll come back up and get the camper. We'll have to decide what the next level of the plan is, but hopefully, fingers crossed, this thing can drive all the way down to the end of this trail.
Here's what happened later in the day. I was able to drive all the way down to a large popular gas station just outside of Buena Vista on Highway 285. There were some warning lights during the drive, but I got there without any problems. I turned off the Jeep and waited for them to come back down with the camper, and when I tried to start it, it started up just fine and all of the warning lights were gone. I was able to drive it all the way back home, but I do not trust it. Hopefully I can find a quality shop to figure out what's going on.